Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot with your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of this journey. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time in this space with you, and for anybody new here, welcome. This is that reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. And should these messages happen to resonate with you along the way, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you are new, we do things completely differently on this channel, so I suggest strapping in, hanging on, and we're going to find out together. With that being said, today's reading is going to be what makes you different from other people, and I'm going to be using the Lantern Oracle by Angela Mirabito, which if you haven't already figured out or heard from my other readings, I love this oracle. It's brand new. I just got it maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it has been my go-to oracle since it has arrived. It is absolutely beautiful artwork and just an amazing oracle overall. The guidebook and the messages are very intense, so we're going to be using that today because I do feel like this is a fitting oracle to be using for this reading. So let's hop to your prayer. We're going to be getting this underway. I am going to be up front. These readings are going to be a little bit shorter. I was a little bit behind just because this last week I was not feeling that good, and instead of just burdening you guys with the fact that I wasn't feeling good, I took some time to myself because I had to rest. And so yeah, I took a couple of days off and I got a little behind on readings, and now I need to get caught back up, and so they're going to be a little bit shorter than what you normally get, but it's never lacking in quality, I can promise you. So with that, let's see what we've got going on for you today. Okay, my beloved source, this prayer is for any and all who come on to this reading, whether it's for the entire time or just for a moment's time. Sometimes it's hard because we're told that we're not special, right? Even on this spiritual journey, we're told that we're not really that special. We're all here the same. We're all here experiencing this journey together, which is true. But there is also an element that it's our uniqueness, which makes us stand out, and that's what ultimately is wanting to get expressed. And if we're not expressing that, then we're doing not only ourselves a great disservice, but we're doing the world around us a great disservice, because people aren't getting to experience us in our true authentic form. And so we need to be reminded to see ourselves as not better than or superior to anyone else, as we really are not, but that it's okay for us to see ourselves as special in our own eyes. For you see each and every one of us as special. You see each and every one of us as an extension of you in the most positive and beautiful way. And that reminder is enough to give us the courage to step out into the unknown and to express ourselves from this place of depth, from this place of fear even, and from this place that resides within this light that has been burning within us, asking, praying to be heard and to be seen. So I ask that you give us those messages that are going to help us to embrace that part of ourselves. And if not, may you bring the signs and synchronicities that will help us embrace the true light that resides within us. As these words are spoken unto this reading and upon this tribe, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get this set up over here. Possibly. There we go. No. Okay, I'm going to have to pause this for just a second because it's not sticking in my holder. Okay, my apologies for that, but I've got that fixed up. So let's go ahead and shuffle and see, source, what Lantern Oracle will help my fellow collective, my fellow humans today understand this message of what makes them different. What will help us better understand this message, source, of what makes my fellow humans different? What will help us better understand this message today of what makes my fellow humans different? What makes my fellow humans different? What do they need to know today, Source? Okay, thank you. What makes my fellow humans different? Alright, so for pile number 1, Source, what Lantern Oracle card will help us better understand what makes pile number 1 different from other people? What makes pile number 1 different from other people? Thank you. For pile number 2, Source, what Lantern Oracle card will help us better understand what makes pile number 2 different from other people? What makes pile number 2 different from other people, Source? What makes pile number 2 different from other people? What card will help us better understand that? Thank you. Alright, and for pile number 3, Source, what Lantern Oracle card will help us better understand what makes pile number 3 different from other people? What makes pile number 3 different from other people? Thank you. Okay, collective energy. We've got home. I love this. We've got, may your body be where a harmonious balance of love, strength, light, and pleasure lives. What really makes you different from other people is the fact that everywhere you go, you fit in. You are home. You are not a stranger. Even if you're in strange lands, you're not a stranger, and people aren't strangers to you. You're able to connect with people on a much deeper level, and through that, it allows people to relax around you and to unfold into this knowing that they'll be safe and that they could probably tell you anything. And even if they don't tell you anything, it's just feeling at home with you. There's also this energy that's coming through where you're very balanced between how you look and how you feel on the inside. Like, it doesn't matter if you look the way you want to look. There's this balance where it's, you've come into a space of accepting where you're at on your journey, and that's what makes it such a powerful energy, this radiating light that's coming from you that people feel. And there's this energy that I want to be like that too. I wish that I could love myself the way that my humans do. I was just going to say a pile number, interesting. And you know, and that's just this energy that's coming through. Let's see what it says from the book. 42, home. The body is to be enjoyed. Pleasure is not an indulgence. It is essential. So you're very playful and you stick with your pleasures. The crone featured in this card enjoys a state of bliss in the natural springs where her body is revitalized, nourished, and restful. She supports you in distinguishing true from false pleasure and prioritizing your body's need for revitalization, respect, and love. Our bodies will always do their best for us, regardless of how each of us neglects our body or fails to fuel it with moderate nourishment, exercise, and pleasure. Even when we cannot or do not provide our bodies with a calm and safe environment or company, it remains our loyal and loving friend. It is always on our side, even when we judge it as inadequate. However, it does need our love, care, and attention in return, and not our punishment or neglect. For ongoing deprivation will deplete the body to a point where it cannot continue to run on empty. Burnout will occur, and illness and injury can ensue. Let's see. To love, maintain, and care for your body as you would your most treasured and loving possession, for it is the most valuable material item that you will ever own. Whatever you give it, it gives back tenfold. Love is the best kind of food. This includes the way you allow others to relate to engage with your body. If the interaction is not loving or does not genuinely support your bliss and confidence and value, then lose it. The momentary pleasure we enjoy from overeating chocolate, watching too much TV, or having loveless sex is ultimately unhealthy and unable to give you or your body what is truly beneficial. The same goes for depriving our bodies of various nourishment or forcing it into shapes and sizes that we are told are beautiful but do not feel authentic or comfortable. Write down all of the things that you are grateful to your body for and how you mistreat, neglect, and deprive it. Apologize to your body and list the ways you can turn any unloving behaviors into loving ones. It says your body has and always will be the house you keep here. The acceptance, love, gratitude, gentleness, respect, honor, and pleasure it deserves starts with you. Yeah, so you're just giving yourself this love right now. And I feel like for many of you, you don't have the body that you want or desire. You maybe don't look the way that you want or desire to. But sometimes we have to just bite the bullet, really, and say, I have to accept myself where I'm at now instead of trying to force myself, which this card talks about, instead of trying to force myself into something. And that's what makes you different from a lot of people, because a lot of people are stuck in that place of feeling like they have to force themselves into being something or someone that they're not. And there's a point on the journey where you literally just give up on that pursuit, because it literally is a round robin, endless pursuit that ends in disarray. All right, so let's put these up here. Okay, so I do want to mention that the zodiac that were picked today, I wasn't going to do zodiac, but the dice fell out and Source said do the zodiac. It's not necessarily your zodiac. This is just something extra to pick from. But if you're drawn to it because it is your zodiac, that is perfectly okay. But just know that that is not a reason why this was picked. Like, this is not necessarily a Pisces pile, right? So just keeping that in mind. Okay, so for pile number 1, we do have this beautiful piece of rose quartz. We have this dice with Pisces on it. I moved my camera, so I'm a little all weird now. Whoa. It was Pisces. Yeah, there we go. And for this pile, we have Unakite. Or you have this dice to choose from with Gemini on it, pile 2. And pile number 3, we have this beautiful piece of apatite. It's blue apatite. Or we have this dice with Capricorn on it for you to choose from. Okay. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And whichever pile you feel drawn to, that should be the pile for you. And with that, I will see you over on your chosen pile. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this beautiful piece of rose quartz, if you were drawn to this dice with Pisces on it, and again, this is not in correspondence to the zodiac, it's just something additional to choose from. Or if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what makes you different from other people. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of the journey with me. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time and space with you. And for anybody that is new here, welcome. This is a reminder that we are all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. And if you are truly new here, we do things completely differently on this channel, so I suggest strapping in, hanging on, and you and I are going to find out together. And with that, if the messages resonate along the way, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe down below. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what makes pile number 1 different from other people. Source, what would you like to share with us today? What makes pile number 1 different from other people? What would you like to say? What makes pile number 1 different from other people, Source? Okay, so we've got the 5th house, we've got Pluto energy, and we've got Gemini. Interesting. It's definitely a leader of sorts. Like, you lead people, you're influential to people. And I feel like a lot of people are attracted to you, but they're not just attracted to you, they're attracted to your energy, and your energy is what makes you very influential. The ability to communicate clearly and effectively with people and help them to understand deeper parts of themselves. And this makes you stand out from other people, because a lot of people don't see the world the way you do, let alone knowing how to communicate that and to word it in such a way that people are able to take that and run with it and make it their own. And this is not about them stealing it from you. That's not what this is. This is literally about you planting seeds, and they're like planting seeds in the fertile ground of someone's mind. And it's already ready to take to the seed. So when you plant it, it's like Jack and the Beanstalk, it takes off, and they're like, oh my gosh, you have the information that I've been waiting for so long. And I didn't even know it, right? So this is what makes you different from other people, but you'll also help people go through emotional egoic deaths and transformation and rebirth. And part of that could be just your energy and the way that you present yourself, but I really feel like it has to do with what you're talking about. You have such a way with words. You have such a way of truly being yourself in your conversations and when you're around people that you can't help but be that transmuter, right? And a generator of sorts for people to awaken to something else. So it's like, even if people want to deny your wisdom, they can't, because it's resonating with a deeper part in their soul, and their soul is thirsty for that, and they're just absorbing it like, yes, tell me more, but the emotional ego might be like, don't tell me any of that. I don't want to change. I don't want to know about it. I'm completely uncomfortably comfortable, and I don't want to become uncomfortable so that I have to go through all this change. But it's you bring that change no matter what, and you do it in a very loving way and a very brave way, and you're very playful in the way that you do things in life. So you might have a very good sense of humor, talking about very deep topics, very philosophical topics even. You might bring that with a shred of humor, or just lightheartedness, or even with the 5th house, like childlike energy, right? It's almost if you're explaining it to their inner child in a very delicate way. They eat it up, and this is something that makes you different from other people, because not a lot of people can talk about these very deep, dark, shadow type topics in the way that you do, and you do it in such a way that people are ready to grasp onto it and hold that true and dear to themselves. All right, let's see what the tarot says. Okay, I'm led to use this Tarot Marseille today. So Source, what makes pile number 1 different from others? What makes pile number 1 different from other people? You're very intuitive. You're a magical manifester is what I'm hearing here. You've learned from very difficult situations growing up in your family. You didn't let life get you down. When you had every opportunity to let life get you down, like, you're still a very positive person, right? What makes pile number 1 different from other people, Source? Okay, thank you. What makes pile number 1 different from other people? learned how to discern people too. Like, even though you heal people who might necessarily be toxic to you, you still know how to discern as well. Like, okay, I can't spend a lot of time in this situation with someone because it's going to really upset me, or it's going to upset my balance. What makes pile number 1 different from other people? Yeah, you've had a lot of hopelessness in your life. Times when, if people understood your story, like if they even knew a shred of the amount of stuff that you've been through, the hardships that you've gone through, and they wouldn't understand why it is that you're not hopeless, why it is that you're not broken. You know, all the situations that maybe you got yourself involved in, and all the situations that you were just privy to, right? Because I feel like you had a really rough upbringing. Like this feels like hood upbringing, honestly, like where it's just scary all the time, and where it's like you're trying to look out for each other in this very tight-knit community, but because you're so tight-knit, when someone gets in trouble, the whole community gets in trouble. And I'm not trying to judge here, that's not what this is, but that's what they said. It's like hood community, like this is, and I mean, I'm talking about like maybe you were in the sticks, maybe you were in the trailer community or something, like a trailer home community or something like that. I'm not trying to indicate you were poor or anything like that, because I feel like that might be how it's coming off, but it's not. It's just like you could have even been in a gated community or like a gated apartment community, but it's like everybody knew everybody, and growing up, it was like when one person got into it, the whole community got into it. And so everybody's choices in that situation were very collective, and it was very almost like a hive mind. Everybody was just so bent on looking out for each other, which might, like, that might seem foreign to a lot of people, but it wasn't necessarily for the best interest of everyone else. It was for the best interest of self, because it was like self-preservation through leaning on this community, even though everyone else was doing the exact same thing. So it's not necessarily a healthy environment, because it's like if someone got caught for, just say, drugs, for example, then the whole community got searched for drugs, right? That's what this feels like. It's like at the hands of many, many people. This could have just been family too, right? You could have just grown up in a family that was always in trouble, and you all had to make a collective decision together. But it's like if you made a collective decision together, you all went down for something together. Like, that's what this feels like. And there's things here that are very hopeless in your life. And what makes you different is that no matter how hard things have gotten, and no matter how many times you got involved in something that was, you know, it was a mess. That's what this feels like. It was just a hot mess. Somebody said it. I heard it come through so loud. It was a hot mess. And it was overwhelming. And it was completely unwarranted in many situations. And that's why I feel like you're able to bring such an enlightened mind to very dark topics, because for you, it can always get worse. Like, there's nothing that you can experience today that's worse than what it was when you were helpless, depending on people who are making irrational and sometimes absolutely ruthless decisions. And what makes you different is that you went through this very terrible upbringing, but you're still a light in the world. You're still a very beautiful person. You're still a very intelligent and wise, but it's not just street smarts. You have street smarts that can rival anybody, but you have spiritual smarts and wisdom that comes from being an old soul. And whether or not you know that, you being you, even in that situation as a child, or even as a younger person, that actually helped heal people as well. And people didn't make as crazy of decisions as they would have if you weren't around. And I know that's a huge burden, but it also might not make you feel better either, because it's like, well, okay, so if I wasn't around, they would have just put everybody through, you know, HE double hockey stick and back, but we already went through that. But it's just knowing that your light, that's how bright your light is. It literally is this generator that forces people to start seeing things in a different way. And so as a child, you maybe were ostracized because you saw the world from a very different way. It was like, why do we got to do these things? Or asking questions that no one knew the answers to, but knew that we should probably know the answer to this. Wow, this got so deep. Yeah. The Page of Cups in the reverse. And the, oof, yeah, okay, we've got the Emperor in the reverse. Yeah, very brutal upbringing here. What makes you so different is that people around you are constantly saying that life is hard, or, you know, okay, so this is what I feel like. Sometimes you get surrounded by people who are absolutely like, oh my god, life is the worst and the worst and the worst. And you're like, okay, so tell me a little bit about what's so bad about it. And they're like, I broke a nail. And you're like, what? They're like, I broke a nail. It was the worst week ever. And they couldn't get my coffee right at Starbucks. And oh my gosh, the guy, he like charged me $5 extra because he had to put something extra on my tire this week. And I should have had to pay for that. That was his fault. Like, I feel like this is the kind of people who come to you and complaining. And you're like, oh, so what happens when a real emergency happens? And they're like, what are you talking about? That's a real emergency. And you're like, what about your neighbor getting shot in the arm, and as a 5-year-old you had to take them to the hospital and make sure that they weren't going to die? But it's cool because when they felt better, they totally made me the best pie ever. And they were like, if you tell them like stories like that, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the difference between you and these people that come to you. But when you share those moments with them, even though you're trying to make it a joke, you're also trying to like be like, hey, look, life can get way worse than a broken nail, okay? And when you tell people that, they don't want to hear it, but at the same time, they're like, oh my gosh, what have I really been complaining about this entire time? It's like a huge slap in the face. It's like you had this very brutal upbringing that was devoid of real love and real caring and real compassion. And yet you somehow are this very loving, caring, compassionate person. It's not that you don't understand where they're coming from. You do. But it's also this place of where it's like, wait, that's not really a real emergency. Like, what happens under real duress? What happens under, you know, real situations where life really does happen? Life really gets you down. You know, a flat tire is no big deal compared to losing a family member, you know? But some people, they really liken, I stubbed my toe this morning getting out of bed, and that is the same as losing your entire family to a surprise attack. You know what I mean? Like, people be thinking that these things are really, really, then they're not. There's no weight compared to that, and it's just where their thought process is. But you come in and you're like this generator. You transmute that for them in a way. It's not even that you're taking it on personally. It's just literally the way that you communicate what you've been through, or things that really do matter. Maybe it's not even about your life. Maybe it's talking about homelessness, or maybe it's talking about people who are going without food. You know, someone who's complaining about not being able to get their favorite French fries this week, and you're like, why are you complaining about not getting your favorite French fries when there are people who are starving around the world? There are children who are dying of hunger. And they're like, whoa, that got dark real fast. And you're like, yeah, but think about it for just a second. You're over here complaining about some fries? You know what I mean? So you're very much deeper than this, and it's because of this hardship that you went through. This is a very difficult situation, whatever this is, but I don't feel like it was one thing. I feel like this was compounded over many, many years. Maybe from the time you were 7 to the time you were 17. Maybe from the time you were 4 until you were 20. Like, this was a very dark time in your childhood, but it actually made you into the person that you are today. But it even deepened the spiritual wisdom that you had. Isn't this interesting? We got Pisces flipped out of my astrological deck, and this was the one that had the Pisces dice on it to pick from. We have intimacy, intuition, and compassion. Yeah, you're a very compassionate person, but you're also incredibly intuitive. Like, this person's, maybe they were just complaining to get attention, and it's like you're not trying to be condescending to them at all, and you don't even come across as condescending. You're just coming across as like telling very dark things with this intention of helping them to see the world is a much bigger place than your little bubble that you live in. And if you're not willing to look at it that way, then there's going to be a huge shock when life really happens. And you recognize that on the bottom. Yeah, we have the sun. Look, self-express and embody the truth. Like, very much in this place of very deep truth, very knowledgeable about the world around you, very understanding of the world around you as well. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, Pile One, if you were someone that, you know, volunteered, or if you've gone overseas to help people overseas or in different countries, or you send money to organizations that do that or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me if you are someone who donates a lot, or donates time, or donates food, or, you know, helps with the food drive or something like that, because that's really, it feels like Virgo energy is coming through really strongly as well here. So you could have Virgo highly aspect in your chart. You could also have Virgo in the 5th house. And I know it's very specific, but it is coming through. So we have surrender. I can release my need to control. Yeah, you almost force people into surrendering this need to control little elements in life that you cannot control. And this makes you different from other people. We have pride coming out. I'm not surprised pride came out for the 5th house as well. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. But that's kind of going back to what I was saying. It's like when people complain about these things, like they're very ego driven. They're very much in their emotional ego. Like their hurts and pains are worse than anyone else's, even though it's stubbing a toe. And you have true horrors that you've lived through. And you actually help people come out of their pride. And that's that surrender energy where it's like, oh my gosh, I did not realize that. And we have blame here. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And I feel like that's because maybe for a long time you blamed others for where you were. You blamed the people in your life for where you were, for this lack of love, for this lack of kindness, for this lack of just proper care, it feels like. And there was something that shifted in you as you got older where you realized that holding blame over them was not helping you to heal. And you decided to try something new. And in trying something new, you found a new sense of freedom. And you are someone who doesn't hold that over others. So when people show up in these weird energies that they show up as, you're someone that just takes it as is and you still just be you. We have part of fortune that flipped out. Tap into your talents. This is a part of your part of fortune. And knowing where your part of fortune is on your chart is very useful, right? So that's very helpful. But I do feel like this is something to do with not only your part of fortune, but also with your North Node. And it's like in tandem. That's what I'm hearing. So tapping into your talents. But your talent is literally being a transmuter in the world. So we have the lunar eclipse. Yeah, out with the old. You're helping people let go of the old. And that's what makes you different from other people. Right? There are other people in the world that are like you, but you're very unique in that sense because you may be the only person around you that does that. So I'm using these today. These are the Earthly Soul and Spirit Oracle. This is the Mindful card. You're very present with what is. You're incredibly intuitive, but you're tapped into the seasons as well. But also look at this picture. It's depicting fall. The leaves are falling from the tree. We had that lunar eclipse with out with the old, and that's what you're doing. You're letting go of everything that doesn't serve you. And so when people are holding on to very useless worries, you're over here letting go of things that burdened you for a long time, were massive anchors along your journey. We have Earth here. Yeah, you're incredibly grounded. I love that for you. All right, let's get one of these, and then we'll take a look at your, what else, Source? What makes pile number 1 different from people? This one. On the bottom, balance. Yeah, you're incredibly grounded. It wouldn't surprise me if you also had her Earth highly aspect in your chart. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. But you're a very balanced individual. Like it's this melding of the good and the bad, right? The beautiful and the ugly. Like you've learned how to let both of those things just flow as they flow. The infinity sign here. What goes around comes around, that energy. But it's like clearing out karma while also creating abundance at the same time. Your energy. Yeah, your energy. Like you have every right, pile 1. You have every right in the world to be a very sour individual, to be a very hurt individual. But you're not. You're still this ball of energy. You're still this ball of light. And that's what makes you different from other people, because people who haven't even experienced real tragedy in their lives are being really, I heard gross, like that was the word that came to mind right away. Being really gross souls, right? Like being really gross people. Maybe that's the thing. Like really ugly, right? They're in a very ugly energy, and yet you have every right to be, and you're not. Okay? So let's take a look at your card. We're going to see what this says for you. We have radical curiosity, seeing as if for the first time every time. So very childlike, right? Again, that childlike nature here. This is a child elf that's coming in on this card here. But that energy of seeing through the eyes of a child comes to mind with this, and also very dualistic. You're able to float back and forth between the good and the hardships in life, the light and the shadow, and without worry if one is going to take over or not, because that balance comes in and you find that balance. It says the maiden sees the wonderment, the mystery and the majesty of nature enthrall her and inspire the music she creates. Her presence reminds us to resume looking at the ever-changing world within the openness of a child. For the world's beauty and enchantment can be seen at every age, if and when we remember to access our inner magical and childlike perspective. The maiden is alive with its potent energy of raw inspiration. She reminds us what it feels like to be radically curious about where an idea might lead. She experiences the world as a globe of magical unknowns to be explored. Curiosity runs through her veins as limitless energy. She creates her music from one inspiring idea to the next. She cannot anticipate the outcome of any tune she's exploring how to create, nor does she necessarily have the self-discipline or regard for any elder's caution or advice on what is and what is not possible. The maiden's curiosity is wild and radical. She accepts and understands no limitation, nor does she refrain from venturing into the vast landscape of her imagination. She is without presumption, judgment, anticipation, and in need of validation for her creation. Therefore, she fears no disappointment, rejection, or failure. Naivety frees her to boldly follow what she is inspired to express and immerse herself in the joy of expressing it. The maiden reminds you that you always have the power to change a routine that stifles your ability to see life with excitement, possibility, and the magic of a child. She encourages the reawakening of your innate radical curiosity and openness. May you enjoy a return to your fresh and unique perspective. May you also allow yourself to express what inspires you creatively. Radical curiosity is the maiden's alchemy and yours too. So her message is radical curiosity inspires creativity. That's a thing, like you are actually someone out here that's inspiring creativity in others just basically by helping others see that the world is a much bigger place, right? And it might come from some really hard stories, but sometimes we need that harsh love, right? That Saturn love. It actually might benefit you to know where your Saturn resides at as well. You might have Saturn in Capricorn, in Virgo and Pisces, Taurus, or in Scorpio, I'm hearing as well. So it might benefit you to know that. But this is what I see here for you. If this felt like your reading pile number 1, I believe there's an infinity sign. Leave the infinity sign down below and say, through allowing what comes to go and what I create to become, I help change the world to a much grander view of what is and is not possible. And if this resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, please check out the description box. It has everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. With that, I do want to take a quick second to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very profound message. And until next time, pile number 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this beautiful piece of unakite, if you were drawn to this dice with Gemini on it, and again, this doesn't have anything to do with the zodiac sign in particular, it's just something else to choose from. Or if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, then this is going to be your reading on what makes you different from other people. I I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of this journey with me. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time and space with you. And anybody that is new here, welcome. This is that reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. If you are truly new here, we do things completely differently on this channel. And this is just to say, I suggest you strap in, hang on, and you and I are going to find out together. Sorry, I got totally distracted because it was 4:44 on the clock. So it was just a synchronicity that was coming in. I was like, oh, hey, look, there's a synchronicity. If the message should happen to resonate with you along the way, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe down below. So let's hop to it and find out what messages Source has for us today. Source, what makes pile number 2 different from other people? What would you like to share with us today? What makes pile number 2 different from other people? What would you like to say? What makes pile number 2 different from other people, Source? So you might see 444 a lot. That's coming in. It's talking about strength, structure, and stability, foundation. You know, a solid place for us to springboard off into 5, which is change, right? Once we get settled in 4, then we have to move on to 5, which is this great big change that's so uncomfortable. But without a solid base for us to move from, it's impossible for us to change our lives, because we'll always fall back down to that the beginning stage again. And it feels like one of the things that makes you different from other people is that you have a very solid foundation that's taken you a very long time to build. I'm also getting Sagittarius and Taurus energy coming in incredibly strong right now. So let's see what your dice say. Of course, we have Taurus, the 10th house, and Saturn energy. Yeah, you can't get more clear about this. I didn't even know it was on the dice, and we saw 444, and the dice are completely reflecting that as well. The 10th house is what is our career and our accomplishments, but it's connected with Saturn and Capricorn energy, and they're talking about building a solid foundation, building that place for us to move beyond, right? This energy of letting go of barriers and boundaries and blockages, are moving our boundaries and having a good structure to move from this place that's long-term goals, right? We're not just rushing into things. We're not just trying to make things easy come, easy go. It's literally about building something up. It's being very determined, hardworking, disciplined, having stability. There's also this sense of being burdened, pessimistic, self-limiting, ruthless, rigid, cynical, fearful, authoritative. The father wound is coming in as well. But this is that energy of overcoming those very difficult things and building a solid foundation here. And Saturn, being the planet of tough love, also talks about structure, restriction, discipline, karma, foundations, ambition, responsibility, obstacles, the masculine figures in our lives, also the masculine energy that resides with us, and authority, dominance, burdens, blockages, conventionally, tradition, and it also governs the skeletal system, which is an interesting thing to throw in here. So there's definitely a lot that's coming through here about foundations, and I started your reading at 444. So honestly, pile number 2, what makes you different from other people is the fact that you're not afraid to work at the structures in life. And I have the dice backwards. That's interesting. Because Taurus is so strong there. And again, Taurus is talking about, you know, being loyal, having a ton of resolve, can be stubborn. But for me, Taurus is the foundation of the zodiac, because for me, all the earth signs, they work incredibly hard. I do feel like Capricorn is the worker, but Taurus is the one that builds a sustainable foundation through which to grow upon, so that there's luxuries and fun and freedom, whereas Capricorn is more restrictive and builds a foundation based on, you know, these long-term goals, but I can't enjoy anything until I have achieved those long-term goals. So very restrictive in that sense. But Taurus is more about, let me enjoy things now while still continuing to build this foundation. So for you, what makes you different from other people, pile number 2, is the ability to enjoy life while still building that solid foundation. This is very clear. You're also walking in your career as a very solid person. So whatever your career is or whatever it is you do for work, you're very grounded in that work. You could be building a business as well, but you don't have to be. You just know exactly what to do. Maybe you've served in this department for a long time, or you've been there for a long time and you know all the ins and outs, and so people come to you for advice, for understanding, for help. But what makes you different is that you're not afraid to dig deep and work hard. And this shows that, while at the same time working hard for yourself to enjoy things. So you might take vacation once a year, or go on a cruise once a year, or go and visit another country, or even if you just take time off, like you're doing things that you love to do and you go out of your way to do that. So Source, what makes pile number 2 different from other people? What would you like to share with us today? Whoa, already. Yeah, very grounded, very secure, loyal to your cause, whatever that is. What makes pile number 2 different from other people, Source? Thank you. Source, what makes pile number 2 different from other people? Whoa. Okay, so you're getting 2 here. You've got the moon, and clarifying the moon, you've got the hermit. Okay. Mystery cards. A lot of mystery cards coming out for you here. Let's see what's on the bottom. We've got the Page of Coins. When you started, you had nothing. You had less than nothing. Right? Like, I feel like it was just one of those things, like you knew I had to start at the bottom and work my way up. And now you're standing in this Emperor energy. We're starting with the number 4 card here in your reading. So synchronistic already, right? And there's a lot of things that you had to shed a light on here. And we have the father wound and the mother wound coming out in your reading right now. But we also have this shedding a light on things that were seemingly dangerous for you, seemed very irresponsible at times. So maybe the example that they're showing me is you wanted to build your own business. And so taking a risk to do that, right? Because it's a risk to build a business. You don't know what it's going to create in your life, or, the stresses that come with that, or if it's going to be successful. Like, there's all these what ifs and there's all these worries that go with it. But maybe you took the leap. And that was something that felt incredibly dangerous for you, but you had to, because you had to shed a light on that fear within yourself. And if that's not what it is, maybe it's the fear of going into a higher position, or the fear of asking for money, for asking for more money. I've been here for a long time. I deserve a raise. There's people who are getting hired on making more than me. I'm one of your most valuable assets in this company. I deserve to be paid accordingly. So maybe it could be something like that, right? And there's just this energy of really recognizing that you had to go in and look at yourself. But what makes you different is the fact that you are willing to honor these fears while still facing them. And that puts you into this Emperor energy, this very powerful energy. Yeah, we have the 6 of Swords in the reverse. Maybe there was a part of you that just was very subdued for a very long time. And that part of you that was subdued for a long time is what caused a lot of anxiety, emotional upset, and something snapped. And now you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. And that's coming through, and it's real, right? It's like, if you need to talk to the boss, you're not quaking in your boots anymore, right? You're like, no, look, I need to talk to you, because we have to discuss this. Something very important. This is something that's real. Whereas most other people, they're just going to stay scared. When you meet people, this always blew my mind when I worked in customer service. We would have bosses that would come in, and we would have uppers come in. Like, in fact, one of the VPs his office was just down the way from one of my desks, and he was such an amazing boss. He said hello to everyone, and everybody loved him, but everybody was always, when he first walked into the building, everybody was so scared. And it never, made sense to me. I was always in this energy of, he's just a man. He puts his pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time, you know? And no one could grasp onto that. They were always like, oh my gosh, I have to look busy. I have to do this. And I was like, you can't really look busy if you're not on a call, because that's what we were. We were customer service. We took calls. Well, we had calling out, like what was calling out. Yeah, I've done inbound calls and outbound calls, but this particular one was outbound calls. And no, it wasn't collections and it wasn't sales. That's not what it was. It was for school. But long story short, it always baffled me when people were so scared when he came in. I was like, how are you going to make yourself look busy when literally there's nothing going on for our actual job description? But I feel like that's maybe something that you went through, or that's something that you experience a lot around where you work at, right? Because we are talking about work with the 10th house here. So you know what that means. Like, you know what that feels like, where you're sitting here and everybody's so scared of the boss. They won't talk to the boss. They can't even ask a boss a question. They may come to you to relay that to the boss and then bring back the information to them because of that fear. And what makes you different from other people is that you don't let that fear get the best of you. You went inside, and maybe that was there for a time where you were like, no, I'm going to be subdued to this. I'm not going to make the steps to overcome this. It's really just bothering me this much. But you really stopped, and you were looking at yourself and saying, I have to face this part of myself. Otherwise, I'm never going to move. I'm always going to be stuck where I'm at. And you started small, but you're making progress here. Yeah, and there could have also been something that fell apart because of this, because of not taking yourself seriously. It's like always feeling like everybody had power over you. Maybe in that energy you were saying, oh, everyone else has power over me, and I can't take myself seriously. And then maybe you lost a position here along the way, and that is what broke the camel's back, right? Because there's some sort of dissolution here with the 3 of coins in the reverse here. It's like something falling apart, something not working out. This could be a romantic partnership. There's something here that broke your heart, though. There's something here that really weighed heavily on your heart chakra, and through that, it forced you to start small. And starting small, you realized there was so much more that you could have done, but forget about what you could have done. There's so much more that I can do now. And so in order for you to protect yourself, you know that you have to stand tall as this leader and in this very powerful, grounded, stable energy where it's like, look, if I don't face what's coming towards me, I'm going to get eaten alive, or I'm going to get thrown to the wolves. And that's all from experience. That's what makes you different from other people. You're very foundational, and you're not afraid of who you are. And you're not afraid of other people either, because you recognize they're people too. They're humans too, right? They're experiencing this life the same way you are. It doesn't matter what their position is, whether they're a billionaire or they're living on the streets, whether they own this mansion out in Beverly Hills or they own a house down the street, you know, whatever it is. It's like they're still human just like I am. Their status, their money, all of that stuff, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because we all experience very similar things. But you had to come to terms with that at some point, because I felt there's like this energy with the moon here in the reverse that was very dangerous to acknowledge for you, or that was something that everybody in your family was like, oh, whoever is the boss, and you have to, you know, do everything that they ask you to. But somewhere along the way, realizing that if I do everything that the boss asks me to, then I'm going to become the company biznatch, right? And I don't want to be in that position, because I'm still at the bottom of the totem pole while holding far more responsibilities than everyone else. So you stood up here, and that's something that makes you vastly different from other people, especially people that are surrounding you right now. They see you constantly stand up for yourself. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, Pile 2, if people are saying, like, how do you get away with saying the things that you say to our bosses? And you're probably like, because they're just a person like I am? They would never say that. I would never say that to my boss. I would never say that to someone who signed my paycheck. But that's what makes you different. On the bottom, we've got Mars. Exactly. Move forward and defend self. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Like, if you didn't do something, you're going to stay stuck where you were. I don't want to be stuck at the bottom. I want to have something in life that means something to me. But if I don't take action for myself, if I don't defend myself, that's not going to happen. Yeah, we've got growth coming out on the bottom. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. This forced you to grow. It's like you can absolutely understand where other people are coming from. You've been there, but you also chose to grow. We've got Libra and Aquarius energy coming out together. Find your balance and fly your freak flag. That's where you're the most balanced at, is when you're being true to yourself, which it should never be anything less than. Right? That's when we're in our powers, when we're being true to ourselves. And so what makes you different is that you know how to stand in your power and continue to stand in your power, regardless of who's around you. Benefics. Let the blessings unfold. And I feel like that's the other thing, is a lot of people have seen you be blessed recently, and that's something that makes you different than others, because a lot of people are wanting to manifest better things in their life, but they're not able to. Look at this. We have blessed that flew out of this deck. So what makes you different from other people is like you see the world as a huge blessing. Everything you have in life is a big blessing to you. You're very grateful for it. And in turn, you're continually blessed. Right? And then we have enchanted. Yeah, you're very magical. I love this energy for you, because it's showing like you're able to manifest exactly what you want in life without worry. And that leaves people wondering, like, how the heck did you do it? But you're just so grateful for everything. You realize that the more you feel good about yourself, the more grateful you feel. And the more grateful you feel, the easier it is to manifest what you want. We have purposeful on the bottom. And I'm not surprised that this card came out either, because this is talking about being in your purpose, right? Feeling like you have a purpose, purposeful, like you're doing something that matters to you. You really enjoy what you do, and you're really good at it. You should be compensated equally for the amount of work that you give, because you're giving 100% of you. And that's the thing. And so I feel like for you, you actually got the raise that you were asking for. You got the position that you were asking for. The thing is that you asked and you received. Source is like, I got you. And everyone else is sitting there with twiddling their thumbs, wondering, why the heck didn't I get it? Because you didn't ask? Like, it's simple enough. Because you didn't ask. Surrender. Yeah. This is like a complete surrender to trusting the process. And that's what makes you different from other people. You trust in the process. You trust in what's happening for you. You've seen it with your own eyes. Time and time again, like even when your faith is faltering, which it does, that's just human, right? But when your faith is faltering, like you ask Source, show me. Show me that you're listening. Show me that this is going to happen. Show me that you've got my back. And a sign and a synchronicity will come right in and you're like, yep, okay. And it reinvigorates your faith. Pluto, transform. Wow, okay. I guess this card really wants to be seen too. Yeah, so you have transformed your life. That's what I was saying. Like, you feel like, it feels like you were once that person, just like everyone around you, where you were afraid to say something, but now you're not afraid to say it. You're an entirely different person. You had to start with nothing. Humor. So you might have come from pile number 1 as well, right? But if not, that's okay. There might be some other messages for you. Just know it's never a requirement to watch multiple piles. But we have, I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. Yeah, you have a good sense of humor about you. Isolation. Interesting. You got 2 of the same color block. Right? These both come from the same color block. White. So at times you felt very isolated by this energy that was overtaking you, and only through surrendering and trusting in your inner strength did that give you the freedom to become who you were meant to be. So other people are feeling isolated in that, but you're the one that found the key in the isolation. All right, let's take a look at this card. We're going to read this from the book and see what it says. We've got the Weeping Wound. You are not your wounds. Look at this. This is really kind of graphic, but it's true. Like this, you know, like heart surgery energy coming through here. The weeping wound. Oof. Through darkness, you arose as this beautiful person. Alright, let me get it. Excuse me. The weeping wound. Healing happens after our wounds receive sufficient attention, treatment, and expression. Wounds stop bleeding once the pain has been known and released. This needs to occur in an emotional, psychological, physical, and spiritual level. Until then, no scar tissue can begin to form, leaving our wounds exposed to the infection. The maiden remains a prisoner to her pain. Her wounds bleed over her potential, voice, perception, and present. She's shown up to support you through a time of safely addressing whatever wounds still bleed over your life. Perhaps you find yourself in a toxic relationship, being mistreated or taken advantage of by your family, friends, or those in your workplace. Alternatively, it could be that you are experiencing ongoing money issues, challenges with addiction, or never feeling sufficiently acknowledged, heard, or regarded. That's what I was saying. Like, you started with nothing, and you had to build stability from that. Give yourself permission to prioritize tending to whatever outstanding core wounds and false beliefs you have with love and light. Shower your wounded maiden with self with compassion. Listen to her without judgment. Validate the tears she cries. Feel with her. Access your inherent nurturing and protective mother, guardian, and crone capacity to do this. Assure your wounded maiden self that she's no longer alone with her pain. Form a support network with a loved one, a safe friend, a healing professional, or a mental health expert, perhaps all four. Allow them to bear witness to your story. Often expressing the depths of our pain to another frees us to experience life beyond hurt and horror. And that's what I was saying, like, there's something here that was very dangerous for you to experience, and that could be the past wounds that you experienced as well. We were talking about the fear. The fear keeps coming through here, and absolutely makes sense that a fear would be connected to the weeping wound, right? Because it's something that traumatized us, and it's sticking with us until we acknowledge it and validate it and let it go. Once enough scar tissue has formed, wounds can stop opening up in the present to hurt us all over again. It says, this card may also signify a time of being called upon to support someone by bearing witness to their core wounds. The maiden's message is, you are so much more than your wounds. It is never too late to grow beyond them. It is always possible to access the rest of your life without bleeding over it. We all must feel, express, and release our way through our pain. There are no shortcuts, but once it is thoroughly done, it is done. It is hard work over an intense period that takes you as long as it takes. Once completed, the insights, peace, love, light, and liberation of being on the other side of your wounds will transform you in unimaginable ways. Your once greatest hurt has the potential to become your greatest power, if and only if you show up for whatever it takes to complete the process. Yeah, so you've gone through something. That's what I was saying, like, you faced your fears, and your fears had to do with something that was internal. Through the isolation, you found the key that's coming back up again. So you found that you were so much more than what your mind was convincing you were. And in that, you've now found the ability to manifest and create life in a way that is really working for you. And that's what makes you different. It's actually a very powerful pile. I was truly honored to read this for you, pile number 2. This is what I see here for you. If you feel like this is your reading, leave the little heart emoji that's wrapped up with a bandage down below and say, I've grown beyond my past hurts, pains, and trauma. They are what has given me the strength and the foundation, all in capitals, to grow and become who I am in this moment. And if it resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, check out the description box. It has everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. With that, I do want to take a quick second and thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly powerful message. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this beautiful piece of blue apatite, or if you were drawn to this dice with Capricorn on it, and this is just a reminder that it doesn't necessarily have to be the Capricorn pile. This is just something else to choose from. Or if you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what makes you different from other people. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone that continues to be a supportive part of this journey. I'm truly honored to be sharing this time in this space with you. And for anybody that is new here, welcome. This is that reminder that we're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. And should these messages happen to resonate with you, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you are truly new, we do things completely differently on this channel, so I suggest strapping in, hanging on, and we're going to find out together. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. Source, why is pile number 3 different from other people? What makes pile number 3 different from other people? Would you like to share with us today, Source? What makes pile number 3 different from other people? What would you like to bring through? Okay, so we've got the 6th house, we've got Leo energy, and we've got we've got Mercury. Capricorn coming out again. So you may have Capricorn highly aspect in your chart. You don't have to, but since I almost said it again, it does look like Capricorn might be important. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Capricorn in the 6th house, Mercury in Capricorn, Capricorn in the 8th house, or the 5th house as well. Okay. So what makes you different from other people? 2 things here. The way you take care of your health, as well as your work ethics. They are very different from other people. You are very energetic by nature, and you also very open about how you care for your body. So that could be spiritually, mentally, emotionally. It could be, physically as well. But I do feel like you see that as a whole package, taking care of all avenues of your well-being, and you talk about it freely, and you share that and communicate that with others. It's also the way that you learn about it that makes you different from others. The sensory input that you're receiving constantly from other people, from certain situations that help you navigate for yourself. Yeah, so your work habits also stand out. It could be also the way that you treat animals stands out as well, and that makes you different from other people. Like you might have very loving training methods, or like you don't believe in harsher training methods because you've had success doing very loving training methods. And it's not to say that one is right over the other. It's just to say that that's what works for you, and I feel like that's something that really stands out for you. You found a way that works really good for you in the terms of being there. And it's not I don't want to sound like, oh my gosh, people who use prong collars and e-collars and stuff like that, or who are strong voiced when they're training. Like, it's not to say that there's only one right way to do things, but I feel like for you found the way that works for you, and that is something that stands out about you. Okay, I don't know why we're talking about animals and training, but maybe you train animals for a living. I don't know. That's cool. That's really cool. But I also feel like you very much take care of your health and your wellness. And like I said, you see it as all aspects. It's not just your physical health. It's also your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual well-being. That's all wrapped up into your health and fitness and wellness. And that is something that makes you different from other people, because you take it very seriously. You're also incredibly playful, and you've healed a lot of inner child wounds, and so you may look incredibly young for your age, right? So an example would be like you're 50 years old, but you still look like you're 30, right? Or maybe you're 30 and you look like you're barely 18. And it's because you've shed so much worry, doubt, and weight from the traumas that you incurred growing up. And you're very confident, and you are oftentimes the center of attention, not wanting to be. It just happens. Like, people want to be in your energy because you're this very youthful, grounded, loving energy, right? Again, coming back to that loving energy, it has to do with the energy that you exude. That's something that makes you vastly different from other people, is you exude this very nurturing, very loving, and all-embracing energy. And I feel like at times, pile 3, you might have seen this as a curse. You might have been like, I hate that I have this loving energy. Like, I'm glad that I am who I am, but I hate that everybody's attracted to it, because maybe you went through some very abusive situations, or you've had to deal with narcissists or people who take advantage of you. But I do believe that you're getting to this place where you recognize the power that it holds, and how rare it is to have this loving energy in the world. So I do feel like it is inspiring you as well, but that's what makes you different than others. You're very attractive as well, and you set very solid boundaries, because you have to. You have to maintain your spiritual well-being too. Alright, Source, what makes pile number 3 different from others? You're an inspiration. You inspire others to become more aligned versions of themselves. What makes pile number 3 different from other people? I feel like you want to have a family, but you want your family to be like an extended family. So maybe you adopt kids from other families. That's coming through, and that makes you vastly different. Or like you want to adopt, like the adoption is coming through really strongly. That's a very specific message. It's not going to resonate with everyone. Yeah, what makes pile number 3 different from other people, Source? What makes pile number 3 different from other people? Okay, what makes pile number 3 different from other people, Source? Yeah, interesting. Capricorn energy at the center of your reading. What makes pile number 3 different from other people, Source? The Hangman. On the bottom, the Fool in the reverse. Yes, okay. This is confirming what I was feeling, is you have this very powerful energy. It's all loving and it's bright, and you have throughout your life, you have attracted some really difficult characters, people who have been very lowly in energy, very difficult to deal with, very dark, shadowy energy, and sometimes very scary and abusive energy as well, it feels like, and people who would manipulate you just so that they could get access to your energy. You've had to balance very, very rough and difficult connections in your life, pile number 3. And seeing that now, you're looking back on yourself, and what makes you vastly different is realizing that part of that was your own self-sabotage. I do feel like you're a healer, and I feel like your energy is so healing that everybody just leeches onto you because it feels good, right? I feel good being in your energy, and I'm honored that you'd let me connect with you in this way, truly, because you do have such a peaceful, loving, open energy. But I also feel like learning that self-sabotage was a huge part of your journey. You know, when the King of Wands comes out in the reverse, it talks about our own downfall and us being blinded by our own weaknesses and our own, like, the blind side, right? Like there's a blind side somewhere here that we're not really seeing. And so people were rushing in and taking over and wanting to be a part of you and hoping to make you a part of them. It's almost like an obsessive energy here. This could have been an obsessive ex, or this could have been, okay, I'm getting, and I want to just say trigger alert, because there's going to be some things that come up that I do feel like could be triggering, but fair warning before we get to it. You could have dealt with a stalker. That's coming through here. You could have dealt with a very obsessively jealous partner at some point in time, and you could have dealt with someone who was incredibly abusive, okay? And abuse in all regards, right? Mentally, emotionally, sexually, physically, spiritually. I do feel like there's abuse coming in, especially with the Devil here in the reverse at the center of your reading. There's just this very weird energy that's arising where you gave so much of yourself. I feel like you lost yourself in that, and there was a lot of healing that came from that. This could also be there was a Capricorn in your life that expected you to put them on a pedestal, and that could have been a parent, that could have been a grandparent, that could have been a sibling, an auntie and uncle, right? So that could have been in the family. It feels like there was someone here who expected you to put them on a pedestal. And being raised in that mindset, there was always this element of like, everyone else is more important than me. Everyone else deserves to have more recognition than I do. Like, I need to blend into the shadows because what am I? And something along the way shifted for you here, especially with the hangman here, realizing that it's okay for you to be comfortable in your skin. But you see, isn't this interesting? Because the devil came out in the reverse, right? And the hangman and the devil, I mean, they're all pointing the same way. But the hangman's the upright card, and yet as a character, he's still in a reversal position. But it's through the reversal position that he's found complete comfort with who he is. Like, people might throw fruits and vegetables at him. They might call him crazy. They might call him absolutely insane or the village idiot, right? But what no one realizes is that he's given up his own idea of reality to learn the truth, right? And you can liken it to Odin when Odin gives his eye to Yggdrasil to receive, what is it? It's the web. Oh, I can't remember it. But when he gives his, I can't remember the name of the fountain, the well that he went to, the webbed well or whatever it was. Please don't shoot the messenger. It's just I study so much that sometimes I get it mixed up. But when he gave his eye to gain the wisdom of what was going on, and I feel like that's exactly what's going on, is that people might call you all these names, but what makes you different is that you're looking at the world through their eyes, but gaining so much sensory information. Didn't we say that with the Mercury energy here? The sensory information that you're receiving from looking at the world from all these people's eyes, from wearing their shoes, recognizing that, like, okay, this person that expected you to put them on a pedestal, they're coming from a deeply hurt place, and then it was easy to convince you to validate their existence. And that was something that they loved so much that they made you feel less than so that you would always exalt them, right? And so that was where the self-sabotaging energy started. But then realizing, why were people manipulating you? Well, because you maybe went through this really difficult situation growing up, and you were never in a place where you could stand confidently in your own skin. And so instead of taking action in your own skin and being comfortable in your own skin, taking that action, instead it came down to how you saw the world through your eyes and what that experience meant to you. So it was, rather than action, it was coming to stillness for you to gain that information. And that's what I'm saying, like when Odin, he went to the well of wisdom to get that information on the runes, he surrendered his eyes. And that was the thing. It was so that was a sacrifice, right? And the sacrifice here for you was surrendering a need to be right or a need to fit in. And rather than fitting in, it's like, how can I just see things through where they're coming from? And you, in return, have used this as fuel to heal yourself on a deeper level than most have healed themselves, because most get so caught up in the hardship that they experienced when they went through life that they're not ready and willing to heal themselves. And they live in blame and hurt and pain and suffering. And for you, it was like, okay, rather than live in blame, hurt, pain, and suffering, what can I use this for? Like, what does this mean to me? And what does this mean to the way I see life? And that's what makes you vastly different from people. Yeah, you've been through a lot, but regardless of that, it taught you how to be even more loving, and it taught you how to be even more open, and it also taught you how to discern without being an utter jerk to people, which you absolutely deserve and have every right to be, considering what you went through, but you're not. And that's something that makes you vastly different from other people. Yeah, we have the South Node, destined to release. Like, there was something that early on clicked for you, and you realized, like, I have to let this go. Because if I keep carrying this around, like, it's just going to keep causing me problems. It's going to keep causing me pain. And so, South Node energy coming out, you realized early on, or somewhere along the journey, you realized this is something I'm meant to let go of. And you chose to let that go. Alright, so we've got pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. This is exactly what I've been talking about. but you're seeing yourself through their eyes, right? And you're recognizing that how they're trying to portray you is not how they truly see you. And the same thing, you're trying to see themselves through your eyes, right? So it's like being in their position, but seeing you and experiencing what it is to be you from outside of the box. I hope this is making sense, because I'm feeling tongue-tied, but I'm seeing the pictures that they're showing me. And so it's this energy of recognizing I can put the shoe on the other foot. I can walk a mile in their shoes, but I can walk a mile in their shoes while still wearing my own shoe. So it's like twofold at the same time. You're gaining wisdom twofold, and you're not letting your pride get the best of you. You're not even letting the suffering get the best of you. You've learned how to come into this very balanced state of seeing yourself in everyone while still learning how to love yourself, to be unique. You know, which is the message of the hangman. The hangman is comfortable in his skin. He doesn't care if the whole village is telling him he's absolutely absurd, because he knows what he's learning doing what he's doing. Okay, on the bottom we have malefics. Beware of challenges. Yeah. This is like tough love that's been happening in your life. This is Saturn energy that's been moving through your life. This is maybe some benefic placements that you have, or some placements that are in their fall, which can present challenges. It might even be that you have multiple squares in your chart, which is so frustrating. I know from personal experience. I think I have 4 squares in my chart. It is so absolutely insane. But it's also, it's like these challenges, you realize they don't make you if you, or they don't break you if you choose to let them make you. There you go. That's what it is. Right? And so you've let them become the fuel to move you forward. And a lot of people, when they have squares in their chart, like, they just give up. But there's other people who know it's, I gotta go through this, right? Finding peace has been your greatest search in life, is finding peace. And you found that. You're a living embodiment of peace. That's why you're such a beautiful energy. You're just at harmony with who you are. Right? Found peace with who you are, what you've been through. Realizing, like, it's, if I sit here and blame everyone for everything that I've been through, like, it doesn't do me any good. It just causes a lot more problems. It causes a lot more hardships. And even repeat cycles. Maybe you recognize the cycles early on. And we have on the bottom balance. Yeah. Peace and harmony, balance. You're a very balanced individual. And that's what makes you different from other people. A lot of people who've been through things that you've been through, they would not be as balanced as you are. They would let that be their downfall. They would let that be what broke them. They would let that be what turned them into a terror in life. And you didn't. You didn't do that. You might have resonated with one of the other piles. And I just have to quickly say, if you stuck it out on all 3 piles with me and you watched all 3 of them today, leave a purple heart down below. That's for my Purple Heart Club. And you can also say I made it. I know what that means. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to those of you that spend the whole reading with me. It really does mean so much to me. And even if you didn't, I'm truly honored to be able to share this time with you and have you here on this reading with me. And on the bottom, yeah, comfort. What makes you different? You're comfortable. You are someone, you might very much resonate with the collective energy that I did at the very beginning as well. This energy does fall hand in hand with that. But comfort, like, you're just this very peaceful energy. People want to be in your energy because you make them feel comfortable. You make them feel safe. House 7, profound relationships, intimacy, and romantic partnerships. So when you create a relationship, you're loyal for life, right? Being that person's willing to put in the effort, right? No longer are you loyal for life for the sake of loyalty. You're loyal for life when someone else is willing to show you that they're willing to put in for your energy as well. Happiness. I'm aware that being happy means I'm on the right path. And you've learned how to cultivate a sense of happiness with yourself, with life, with where you're at on your journey. And that makes you different from other people. Mutable. Times are changing. You're not afraid of change. In fact, I honestly feel like change brings you a sense of relief because you know that change is going to end certain cycles or it's going to end certain seasons in your life. And so when the change happens, you just can take a breath. And even if it's letting something good go, like you're okay with that because you know your time to rise will come again. Fourth house, back to the basics. Your home, your roots, right? Where you're from. You're very, very much in this place of feeling like home to so many people. Pain. Yeah, you've experienced a lot of pain. That is something that's been real with all three piles today, and that pain has actually led everyone down a very unique path for themselves, which is absolutely incredible, right? Our pain should be the fuel for us to stand in our power, but there's so many people in the world that their pain becomes the debilitation of their life. And for you, it wasn't. For all three piles, it wasn't. But we see that with the pain card coming out here. You turned your pain into comfort. Like you're not afraid to sit with the uncomfortable places of life. You're not afraid to sit with the suffering because you know that sitting with the suffering gains you the wisdom. And there's been a lot of people who've done you dirty, but it's like it has nothing to do with you, and learning that has been a very powerful thing. Also, I do feel like currently your third eye might be opening up a lot more right now. I'm getting weird headache over my left eye, but right near my third eye. And I feel like this is receiving information. You're learning how to receive more and more information from the spiritual, from the divine, and from source. Okay, so let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read this one from the book. We have enough. Oh, I love this for you. You were born enough. Look at this beautiful card. Yeah, so there was times when you didn't feel like you were enough. And that's a burden, right? If someone demanded that you exalt them as a child, like they demanded, they were their king, they were the queen, they were the royalty, and there's no one else that was as good as them, and you were never going to be as good as them, right? Like that really stunts us in so many different ways. And so to learn that you're enough, that's been such a journey for you, but it's also what makes you stand out, makes you different. It says, throughout life, we grow either toward or away from embodying our spirit self. The direction away from our spirit self is often poorly compensated with a false identity that further weakens our power, autonomy, and authenticity. Even amongst apparent success, I have the hiccups, such pretenses further stifle us from within. A life constructed from self-compromise and erasure will shatter from the inside out, much like a mansion built on a hollow foundation will crumble. It can be no other way. Like the featured mother, no one deliberately compromises themselves. For most, this is an inherited pattern that results in a mindless reenactment of one's upbringing, exactly what we were talking about. An upbringing that included, look, I can't make this up. Oh my gosh, it says an upbringing that included neglect, abuse, or a lack of resources may not have nurtured a secure sense of self, inherent lovability, appropriate boundaries, and confidence. The featured mother is an example of someone who has not always known her worth or how to live with integrity. Initially, she has no boundaries and no understanding of how to assert them or her inherent right to have them respected. And remember, we're talking about the mother archetype here, so I just want to mention that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or whatever you identify with. This is just talking about the mother energy that resides within us, okay? She did not realize that she has always been, is, and will always be enough. Her wings need never have been locked within her back, need nor yours. It is up to the mother, like it is up to you, to keep your wings forever outstretched and ready for flight in the direction of spirit self's calling. Tune into an aspect of your life that does not feel right, inspiring, or true to you. The mother asks you to step up and move forward with clarity and firm commitment to what is right for and by you. She asks you to identify what is enough for you rather than prioritizing any desires or expectations of the outside world. From this, you will both realize and enforce your boundaries. All that you are, all that you have, and all that you do is enough. It is more than enough. The fact that you breathe is all that is ever required of you to be enough. So give yourself permission to simply be. If you are tired, do less. If If you lack pleasure, do more of what brings you joy. Always be you. Breathe with your wings outspread. You are your spirit self's facilitator, not jailer. There is nothing to add, win, acquire, achieve, or improve in order to be enough. You were born enough. From this place of inherent enoughness, respect yourself and your eternal right to be all that you are by aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your spirit self. The mother's message is know and honor your boundaries. Prioritize your spirit self's need for authentic representation. Let those who do not respect you as you are or on your terms fall away so that the people and opportunities that do can come in. Yes, I love this message for you, pile number 3. It's so profound, but that's exactly what it is. It's like you've learned through peace and through balance and harmony that you are enough as you are, and it doesn't matter what other people think of you. You're seeing things through their eyes, but you're seeing it through their eyes to gain wisdom, and that in turn has shown you that you are valuable as you are, because you're recognizing that those wounds were only a projection of their feelings of insecurity or their feelings of worthlessness. And misery loves company, and it just so happened that you were the most caring individual around that was ready and willing to lift people up, that they tried to destroy you, not realizing exactly what it was that they had in their lives. And you're the one that finally stood up for yourself and realizing that you're enough, and that's what makes you so different from other people. I am honored to connect with you. Thank you for being here, pile number 3. The world needs you so bad. They need you as you are, with boundaries and with your love all included. Okay, so this is what I see here for you. If you feel like this is your reading, leave the little angel wing emoji down below and say, I spread my wings, knowing that right now in this moment, I am enough as I am, and I have always been enough. And I let my voice be heard, and I let myself be seen, and I still surround myself with boundaries to ensure that I keep my energy safe and sound. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, check out the description box. It has everything you need, including how to reach me for a personal reading, as well as how to join as a member here on the channel. With that, I do want to take a quick second to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming through to give us this amazing message. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.